This is the most important question. What does it take to succeed when the odds are stacked against you? Qu'est-ce qu'il faut pour réussir quand tout semble être contre vous? I started this project to find the answer. My name is Ehsan Etezad and I'm an organizational psychologist. What you're about to hear comes from 10 successful women who are going to tell you what this journey cost them, what it has given them, what they wish they had learned sooner, and most importantly, what they want you to know today. Let's let them introduce themselves.
My name is Jennifer Price. I'm the president and CEO of McElhaney.
My name is Heidi Yang. I'm the CEO of Engineers and Geoscientists BC.
My name is Catherine Johnston. I'm a principal geological engineer, and I'm also the chief strategy officer at BGC Engineering.
My name's Leanna Ma. I've been with my current company, Associated Engineering, for 35 years. My current role is vice president of business development.
My name is Mary Jane Piggott. I am the vice president for the mining environment group at Clone Cribb and Berger.
My name's Katie Au. I'm director of practice at BBA.
My name's Jen Brate. I'm the director for the BC structural group and the buildings group within WSP.
This is Sarah McGann. I'm the electrical principal at MCW.
My name is Jennifer Shiel, and I'm the director of municipal services here at the University of British Columbia.
My name is Carolyn Ryan. I am the senior vice president of people and chief human resources officer at BC Hydro.
I come from an immigrant family. I was the first person from my family to graduate from university. So for me, that was, wow, I graduated and...
That's a lot of success there.
Yeah, and certainly for my parents, they were just happy that I graduated and was going to be a professional engineer.
I think for me, I've been very blessed. My mom was one of the first female letter carriers, and my dad is an engineer. But both of them grew up in like really rural kind of area. My dad's the only one from his family of 6 to go to school. And he basically said, like, part of the reason he suggested engineering to me was he said, you don't want to be one divorce away from poverty.
My mom raised me to believe that I could be anything I wanted. And my mom had been a math major in college, and she started coding with like zeros and ones, and went back and got a master's in computer science and in business while my sister was a baby. And so she was a working mom when I was growing up, and she really taught me that I could be anything.
When you go in the field, it's a whole different game. And every site I went on, it's like starting a new job, right? You have to earn the trust, build it. I am commissioning lead because I have the technical capability. So trying to talk myself into building that confidence that I'm trusted to be in that position because my managers trusted me.
The turning point for me was going to a CC West conference, and during a break, I happened to meet a senior engineer, and we introduced ourselves. And at that time, Marg was a vice president with a consulting engineering firm. And until I met Marg, I had never met a female engineer in an executive role. So Marg really helped me to see what I can be. And as I said earlier, we all need those role models, right? To help us dream, for lack of a better word, of help us dream about what we can be.
For me, it was tougher because there weren't, I didn't have any female mentors because of just the nature of, as I've been going through my career. I did have a couple of really good male mentors who were good sponsors, I think is the phrase that's being used for those. They were really good, very supportive, and they would often be the ones that would tell me when I thought I wasn't, you know, I didn't have the full list of things to do the thing, they'd go, well, you've got enough, you can do it. And so they were very encouraging. And so that was very helpful. I would say sponsorship within the company and mentorship is extremely important.
Early in my career, I wanted to work part-time because I had had a child, and one of the things that I had to do was actually work probably 120% to prove that I could work 80%. And if I had gone back on that, I would have been a lot better about setting boundaries and saying, no, this is what I can perform within this period of time.
I think what women do is we wait until we're fully qualified to take on a role or an activity or a task, rather than if you're partially qualified and then you learn it as you go. And that's, I think, that the toughest thing is we think we have to know everything first, whereas often men don't. They'll think as long as they know 50% of it, they figure, well, we'll figure it out as we go along. And if women could do a little bit more of that, but it's a really tough thing to do.
I still suffer from imposter syndrome. But, we are all here in our positions because we worked hard through our schools, through getting our experience, and gaining our skills through the learning and training we do. So my recommendation to young professionals is keep doing what you're doing. You are where you are because you've worked hard, and if you keep working hard and keep developing those skills and experience, you're getting those promotions because you deserve it. You are not an imposter.
We all experience imposter syndrome, and the answer is yes. Yes, you can. And so I think it's really important for people to remember and remind themselves that you have just as much reason to be here in this field as anybody else, and that we shouldn't forget that.
I mean, the best advice that I have is to every once in a while take stock of how far you've come, what your successes are, give yourself a pat on the back if you've gone through a difficult situation, and just take time to kind of reflect on how far you've come. And I always think that, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, so you can kind of feel emboldened and get rid of that crow on your shoulder by reflecting on what you've done so far and just have that confidence. I always think, likely no one else knows how to do it better.
I wish I'd been more comfortable being uncomfortable at a younger age, and I wish I'd been willing to take more risks at a younger age and willing to be seen to fail. Because there's one thing, like, you fail in private and you can fix the mess, but being seen to fail is also a good thing because people see how you react to a stressful situation and fixing up whatever it is that you failed on. But then you're also an example to others of it's okay to fail, and it's not the failure that matters, it's how you respond to it.
You don't need to be perfect to do something. You need to do that, learn fast, try to ask questions, try to learn it, try to invest a little bit from your side, and then do that.
The other thing that I've learned along the way is it's more of an acceptance of, I know I am going to mess up. And there's a 50% chance that I'll do something right, and there's a 50% chance that I'll do something wrong. But there's a 100% chance that I'll fail if I don't do anything.
Sometimes women will say, I can't take on this role because I don't have 100% of all the skills and qualifications. You don't have to have 100% of the skills and qualifications to apply for a role. So I would say just go for it. And sometimes people will think, I have family obligations, I have all these other obligations that perhaps don't have the time, or I don't want to travel. But maybe there's some compromises to be made. So again, go for the position and then speak to the recruitment team, because oftentimes you don't have to be on the road every week. You don't have to be working long hours all the time. Long hours might only be once every quarter to go to a board meeting, right? So I would say, go for the position, and then you have no regrets.
Slowly I was burning out, like really, really slowly. But I would have these like dips of burnout, and then I'd come back and I'd be like, I'm fine. But I was still on a trajectory to burn out. I was coming back home from a trip, and I found myself like sitting in an airplane, and I was like holding my breath, and I could like hear my heartbeat, and I was like, this isn't normal, this isn't good. And so I very much was just like, this needs to stop.
Pay attention to your body, listen to your body. And this is something that I keep telling to the younger engineers, specifically to our new hires. Many times you think that if you are burned out, it's because of the company that you are working with, and not thinking about you have the power to say no, you have the power to say, no, I need some help, I need some support. And for my journey, in one of the other companies that I was working with, I didn't say that and end up hating that company, if it's just the proper word for that. I didn't really physically hate them, but I didn't like them. I just said, you know what, I'm burnt out, it's because of them. And then moving to another company, and just 6 months after that, I was just seeing myself at exactly the same situation. Now I'm just setting the rule, it doesn't matter how busy is the day, if I need to go to gym at 6, I will go to gym at 6. If I need to work later after that, then I'm recharged, my brain is recharged, I give myself a little bit of break. I feel good that I pay attention to myself on that day.
I put up some boundaries of like, okay, I can't do everything. I need to like step away from some projects. And when I went to the people, and I think this was really cool, I went to them and I was like, you know, I can't keep doing this project. And they were like, it's about time you realize that you can't. Like, no one was like mad at me for it or any of that kind of stuff. I think everyone around me saw that like I was doing too much and I was getting to the point of burnout. But I think I see myself as like a high achiever, and so it's hard for me to like turn stuff down. I feel like I'm like quitting, but sometimes you need to let stuff go so that you can grow.
Earlier in my career, in order to get opportunities, I would say yes to everything. And as I progressed in my career, I learned that it's equally as important to say no. And one of the phrases that I really like from my manager is, we're in this for a marathon and not a sprint. So I know that if I'm making an exception for something that I'm doing, that I'm, doing a stretch initiative, that it's short term, and it's important to communicate it so that people aren't expecting that this is just my capacity long term, that it's an exception, I can do it, but it's short term.
When life is really busy, one of the things that we tend to do is we let go of ourselves, right? So the work is more important, or your family's more important, and you don't really spend that time for yourself. And so that's one thing that I wish I knew better when I was younger that I do now. Don't compromise on yourself. Like for me, it's exercise. And on the most stressful day for me, that is the day I need to do my exercise the most.
For me, I think the lesson that I wish I had learned was that it is not selfish to take time for yourself. And I think that's a tough thing for a lot of women in particular to accept, is that it's okay to have just time for yourself, where you focus on yourself. If you're not in the right headspace, and if your mental health is not there, or you're feeling run down, then you actually don't have the mental capacity to help someone with their problems. You don't have the energy to do whatever it is you need to do.
For me, I work to live, not live to work, right? And my family, my friends, and all that are really critical parts of my values, so that I will prioritize those over work. And I always have been able to do that and set pretty clear boundaries. And I learned early on that it's better to do less things better than too many things not as good.
Just one specific things that I always think about when I'm just dealing with a really uncomfortable situation, or just the tough decision that I need to make. I just try to divide that scenario to two things. What are the areas that it's within my control and I can do something about that? And what are the areas that it's totally out of my control? For the area that it's within my control, try to find a way for that, to just answering those items, just dealing with that, planning for that. And many times when I try to just solve the items that is within the area of my control, I will find the answer for the areas that it's not within my control. So this is coming from my engineering brain.
I think the important thing is always be curious. I'm a lifelong learner, and I take every opportunity to learn, whether it's putting your hand up to do a certain project or an initiative. Really take every opportunity to really experience and develop and learn. And because sometimes you take that risk and it takes you to a place that you didn't realize you could get to, eventually. So I would just say take every opportunity you can to learn.
The only things that I think that matters is what you don't know, and you want to try to learn, and how fast you want to try to learn.
It's make sure that you keep learning. For me, that's been what's guided me for sure. It's been about, wow, this seems really interesting, and I'm not so sure how I'm going to do this, but let's try to figure it out. So when I reflect back on my experiences, like, it's always been about following the place where I was both being challenged but learning the most. So, the individuals who I'm learning the most from, or the projects I can learn the most from. And in the early parts of my career, that came a lot, I think, from the people who I was mentoring under. And I feel like I'm now getting to the point where I've got to seek it out more from everyone around me. So I'm really enjoying seeking that out from the new leaders I'm supporting, or the teams that I'm supporting. Who's challenging me the most? Who's challenging the ideas? How can we all figure this out and get better together? One thing I would say is to let go of any preconceived notions of what you thought your career path might be. So my personal experience when I entered the career path, or entered the career as a young engineer was, or even probably when I chose engineering as a career path, was not necessarily having a vision for it. I probably had a vision that I'd spend a few years in a career, and then I would focus on raising a family after that, and didn't just think about how, what different opportunities there were in the world. And I think, in hindsight, that would have been a great perspective to have, of just having it be wide open at that point. So I'd say no preconceived notions, and also just not being afraid to take on big opportunities in front of you. So just letting go of any fear of failure, or any concern that you're not capable or competent, and just, give yourself a chance at those things.
I think one of the most important things for me was saying yes to opportunity that arose. And it's not always something that I wanted to do, but it's usually something that the organization asked me to do. So there was things I pursued, but also things that maybe weren't the things that I had in mind, but I said yes because the opportunity arose and the organization asked me, so I stepped up. I also think that I've always had a bit of a people lens to the work. So I'm always the one, again, recognizing that everyone comes to work wanting to add value to the work, but also to feel valued for their contributions. So I've always tried to take a moment in a project, in a meeting, in an initiative, to acknowledge the people and everyone who's working on that. And I think that's carried me well.
You have that choice. You have the ability to determine your destiny by learning and experiencing. And so look for those opportunities to do that.
Don't afraid of talking. Don't afraid of speaking your idea. When you see something that it's not working, talk about that. When you see that something is working, again, talk about that. People is not in your head. Don't expect them that they understand what you're going through.
What I always recommend for young people, especially women, is to speak up and I say take up space, meaning be confident to share your views. If you're in a room, in a meeting, you're there for a reason. So make sure that you are offering your perspective on the work, on the issue, and you don't have to rush through it either. Take your time to articulate what you're thinking, pause and contribute, because you are there for a reason and you should contribute as you can.
I would advise juniors, always ask questions, right? Don't think you have to know everything, because asking questions really help you learn. And I think for myself, I would recommend, go and network and find potential mentors and role models and sponsors. I wish I had done that earlier in my career.
What I see is, if you don't ask, you will never know whether you could have gotten it, right? So I think it's really important to ask, especially if it's something that you want. And if the answer is no, you can ask, well, what can I do to kind of help me on my progression? I think it's really important as well, if a person wants to climb up the ladder, help your manager see that that's where you want to go, and figure out whether there's something you can do within that organization that can help you grow. So sometimes there is opportunity, sometimes there isn't. But when people don't know that you are interested in, taking this avenue, how will they know to help you and give you those opportunities? So I think asking is a really important aspect of it.
I always made my managers and the people around me very aware of what I wanted. I think it's really easy to like know what you want, but then hold it to your chest and never tell anybody, or think like, oh, well, I've like indirectly said that I want leadership spaces, but like you have to just go tell people what you want. If you don't put it in the universe and you don't tell people, you have to, how are they going to know? They can't read your mind.
At that point in my life, I was more accustomed to people, to my supervisors and bosses offering me projects and roles, and not really used to communicating to them what my goals and dreams were. So I learned that I really had to figure out what I wanted to be and then communicate them to my managers. And, you know, we had discussions. The roles didn't come immediately, but I was patient, and they communicated, you know, these are kind of skills and experiences that you need to have. And I gained those skills and showed them that I had the ability to take on these advanced roles, these leadership roles. I don't know if there's a secret beyond, you know, working hard, getting the skills you need and getting the experience you need to be what you want to be.
I would say find your people. Like if that's within your friend group, if it's within industry groups, if you're like at a company that has employee resource groups, whatever that looks like, find the people around you that can like help build that like community. That is huge. I had those people around me that I could talk to. It's not always easy to find, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be within the engineering space, but like find the people that support you, that when you're having that hard day and you can go tell them about all the stuff that happened, that they're there and they're telling you that everything's fine and you're doing a great job. And I think it's important to try to find the people that champion you, that can be your sponsors and your mentors and all of that, but understanding that's not always one person. There's not going to be that like unicorn that checks every single box. There's going to be that person that like you vibe with, they have the same personality with you, and you can approach people the same way that they approach people. But then there's the people that have the same ambitions as you, and you can talk to them about that. So finding that like where you relate to people and where you kind of like check the boxes with certain people, it's never been one person. It can never be one person because there's no other person that's you. And so I think finding that like community of people that can help support you and bring you up is like super important.
But I always had friends, and whether sometimes they were men, sometimes they were women, and there were always people that I had, kind of that friend at work, you know, and that's so critical, I think, to get through some of the tough times.
Find some mentor for yourself. Find some safe person in your organization, whether a male colleague, whether a female colleague, someone that you trust and you feel comfortable. And then if you're doubting about certain things, then go and talk to them. My experience. Do you think that I feel confident about every single decision every day? No. And I mean, I'm not quite sure about my male colleagues, but I think that I always can see that I can be way better that I'm doing at every single moment, but many times I'm just going, I have a couple of safe people in the office.
And also identify a sponsor. That's really important. Identify somebody who's already in a leadership position, who is aware of what's going on and where you want to be heading, so that they can be a support for you when you're not in the room, right? So that if they hear of a special project, an initiative, they may think of you and mention your name. So it's really important to surround yourself with leaders as well who can have that influence.
I think one thing that I take great pride in is developing our mentoring program. So the mentoring program we developed is for everyone in the company, not just for women. And we formally match up a mentee with a more senior mentor. And it's been hugely successful. We have more than 100 mentees, mentors participating in the program at any one time. And I think maybe about 10 years ago, we developed mentoring circles, which is part of our mentoring program. But hearing feedback from our staff, we learned that some staff don't feel as comfortable in a one-on-one mentoring relationship. So we developed these mentoring circles where there's one mentor, and then there's 6 or 7 mentees, and they get together and they talk about topics that are important to them. So again, it's been a very successful program.
Everybody knows everybody, and the more connections you have, the more successful you'll be.
And then there's just putting yourself out there, invite a colleague to lunch or coffee. Go talk to someone for 15 minutes that's doing something interesting.
So supporting women who are already in the industry, making sure that outside of their workplace that they have other women that they can just have a safe space to connect with. So that's really important, having a networking aspect that they can build out, having events, activities so that women can connect.
Pick a life partner, if you decide to have a life partner, that supports your goals. Because similar to you can't execute a project on your own, you can't live life on your own. And if you have a life partner that is not on the same page as you for their career, your career, family, etc., it becomes a continual battle. And it's really tough. I would not be here in the role that I have if my husband and kids weren't supportive. And it's one thing to be able to do the job day to day, but it's another thing if you've got a pressure from in the back of your mind of, they're waiting for you, like, I'm not home.
So when I went on mat leave, my husband also went on pat leave when I returned to work. And I, reflecting on my own personal experience, it was so incredible for him to be home with our son. His name's Benji during that time. And I was, able to go back to work, which is like a stressful thing on its own. You're going back to a job at the same time you're trying to be a new parent. And knowing that Jeremy was home with our son and that I didn't have to worry about him going to daycare and doing all of that at the same time was huge for me. So I think supporting families of all kinds, like that's an example for me personally about how it helped support my career.
My husband, I met him when I was 19. I met him in university. We ran cross country together. He is my favorite person in the whole world. I think part of my success in my career has been that I've had really good male support behind me. My dad, parents push you, so sometimes you're like, stop pushing and leave me be. But it's also been a really positive, empowering thing in my life.
When I was young, I thought, I have to be more aggressive. I have to be more like the men who I saw as leaders. And I learned that, you don't have to be 6'1". You can see I'm not 6'1". But you can be quietly powerful.
I'm like, if you're authentic to yourself and to others, and they know how you're going to show up, and they know what you value, and they know your character, then they're going to trust you. And trust is what really helps you gain confidence, build the relationships, and be successful. I would just say that with women, there's a misconception that sometimes you're soft. You know what I mean? And empathy can mean, like you're going to be a pushover, you're going to be soft, you're going to give in, and I can get something out of this person. And what I always say is being kind and empathetic doesn't mean that I'm not firm and I don't have boundaries. So, things that I have learned from really good leaders is around that boundary setting, and that clarity really is kindness. So empathy means like being clear. And I would say that is something that I've taken in my strength. And when I don't know, it's okay to say you don't know and to keep trying to find that clarity.
So I kind of learned early on that doing what you say you're going to do, being honest and authentic, and following up so that people know that they can count on you is really important. So I think that those are qualities to really seek out and demonstrate in your work.
I think I've heard once that like leadership is just like a whole bunch of different conversations. And I'd say for me that very much resonates, is the communication aspect of it. So, kind of being able to connect what's happening in different parts of the business, being able to communicate vision really clearly, being able to communicate expectations really clearly, being able to communicate problems really clearly. So I'd say just really leaning into the communication part of our work. And I actually think it's something I think engineers and geoscientists, we can all constantly be working on that part of our work. Like, our work is so important. And I think there's just so much opportunity for us to be able to share that importance and the impact on people that our work has with the world more broadly.
Identify people that you have challenges working with, communicating with, because this is where I learn the most. Typically, the people that have the most challenges understanding, perhaps because they have a different style of communicating, different ideas. This is actually where I get to learn the most. So for me, I like to take on challenges. So finding a way where I can break through, and and it's trial and error sometimes, right? Because every person you work with has a different way, different style, different ideas, and it's a matter of keep on trying.
And then I would say later in my career, saying that sticks out to me is be kind, not nice. It's nice to just say, yeah, you did a great job, and not tell them the thing that they missed or the thing that is holding them back. So be kind. People do need that feedback.
It depends on the conversation. If it's a difficult conversation and giving feedback, I think the first thing I would do is, if I was receiving the feedback that I'm about to give someone else, how would I want to receive it? Do I want it in a meeting room? Do I want it over a coffee? How do I want that environment to be?
I think that women it is harder for, because more of us, I think, are raised to be people pleasers. I have a stepdaughter, and I see it very much in her, and I don't see it in my 3 boys. So, and I have that in me, and I used to loathe difficult conversations, and I would get very stressed about it. And I would say 2 things that stick in my head. One, when I was younger, I had, a mentor or a peer. We were in the same role, and we had to manage people, and we always said, it's time to put on our big girl pants, right? And so I could go into her office and kind of we could be confidential with each other and kind of help prep for that call.
I think we all have that situation where, because we don't want to create conflict, so sometimes we avoid a conflict. We want to make sure everybody's happy, so we don't say what's on our mind. But, if you suggest to people, if you open the conversation with, what is bringing you to the table? Why are you asking these questions? What is the middle ground that we all want to achieve? Or what is the final outcome that we all want to achieve? I think if you come to the table from that standpoint of we're all trying to establish or create a strong product, and then providing your suggestion, then people know that you're coming from a good place.
Look at your people and look at their potential and help them really realize that potential. And you can do that by, giving them a project that maybe that's challenging, or maybe they don't think that they might be able to do, but help them see their potential and really support them moving forward.
Being willing to be authentic and vulnerable to kind of share how you've approached situations and how things have worked for you. And then kind of being a little bit of a coach in terms of asking questions, being curious. I sort of, I often think that the people that you're speaking with, they know the answers. It's just inside them. They just have to sort of articulate it and then think it through. So I think part of being an inclusive culture is to try to be really transparent in how you're making decisions, what decisions you're making that impact people. And I guess the other thing that I would say with an engineering culture is it's really important to show that you're valuing the expertise that they bring. They're very involved in their work, and it's important to them. So it's important to show and model that they are valued, because everybody comes to work wanting to add value, be valued.
Actually, would be the biggest piece that I would say is make sure that people are included, they feel heard, they feel like they have a voice. Give opportunity for people to progress. Sometimes that's really hard. We just created a few different types of positions within our area, and then helped raise the skill set of some, so they're feeling more empowered to actually be able to make decisions and be a part of that.
The best plans, the best outcomes come from that diversity of thought and come from the ideas of everyone. That makes better outcomes. So I think the best thing that we can do as managers, as leaders, is get those different perspectives.
Yeah.
And to, and those different perspectives come from having diverse groups. So make sure that your teams include men and women and people from different marginalized groups.
Again, a long time ago, someone made this comment that like policy and culture need to go together.
Yeah.
If one tries to go in front of the other, it doesn't work. If policy is way too far ahead of a work culture, no one pays attention. Other way around, the policy just kind of gets left behind.
As a team, you have to be able to have healthy discourse. You have to be able to disagree. You have to be able to offer differing opinions, but then you have to come together and you have to move forward. So that healthy discourse plus alignment. So even if you don't agree, you can voice that disagreement. That's very healthy for them there, but then you have to commit to the decision that's made.
I actually literally do this, and it's not something I share with everyone, but it's when I talk about taking a pause to think about how far you've come and what you've done. Every once in a while, I literally give myself a pat on the back and say, "Good job, you've come this far, you've done your best."
You are here because you are smart and you're hardworking and you're great at what you do. So don't be afraid to set your goals and chase those goals and be what you want to be.
I am the best that I can be today, and I will do all that I can to continue on my path.
Don't let those systemic barriers or those stereotypes deter somebody from trying. It's actually a really fun and interesting career, and there are a lot of people who can support you through it.
Someone asked me, "Do you love being an engineer?" And I said, "I love what engineering has given me. What the engineering world has offered me is beautiful."
What I like the most about doing this project is that I learned so much from these successful women, much more than I can fit into a 1-hour video. And I believe these women are the testament that the workplaces we build next will be much more human than the ones we inherited. And this progress didn't happen by accident. All the committees and working groups inside different organizations are driving this change forward. Provincial and national associations, regulators, universities. There are so many people in this field who have spent their careers pushing for workplaces that are more safe, that are more fair, and are more human. This film was my small contribution, and this is part 1. Part 2 is already in motion. But we can't do this alone, and honestly, we shouldn't. If you or your organization wants to be a part of capturing these voices, reflecting them, and advocating for them, please reach out. Let's collaborate. To the 10 women who trusted me with your voice, thank you. To whoever is watching this, the future is bright. The progress is slow, but we are on the right track. Keep winning, even against all odds. Continuez, avancez et à gagner, même quand les chances sont contre vous. Thank you, and merci beaucoup. When you're having a bad day, what is one meal you order or cook yourself that makes you happy? You're like, this is my pick-me-up meal. That's what we need to know.
First of all, I really have to thank my husband because he grocery shops and does all of the cooking. So if it was just myself, I would pick a bag of potato chips. And yeah, I love potato chips. When I left my career at the city, they filled all my windows with potato chips and wrote like goodbyes on them. And my team here is really fantastic and amazing. When I went on a trip recently to Italy, and they gave me a little booklet on how to ask for potato chips in Italian and all these different language forms. So, yeah, that potato chips for sure.
Let me be honest. My mom is here, so
She's the provider.
and specifically with the Persian food, yes.
The Persian food.
Aşırı.
That's so good. That's such a good tune.
I know.
I don't know the English name for that though.
I know. I don't think that we have really an equivalent name for aşırı, but
Yeah.
that's my happy. I mean, I'm a foodie person.
Okay.
That's the point.
Okay.
So
Give me the list. Give me the list.
Any
of
food can make me happy.
You're like, the bar is low. You don't need to use saffron to make me happy.
I know exactly.
I'm a big fan of Mexican food, so some sort of burrito bowl with some avocado.
Yeah. Any secret recipe that people need to try?
I just have one that I do all the time, and it's a grilled chicken taco. So that's the secret's in the marinade and marinating the chicken, and then having young adult men who can go do the grilling for you, because I don't have to grill.
Yes. That's amazing.
So my meal is ice cream. So just give me any kind of ice cream. Well, actually, it's not any kind of ice cream, but
What flavor is best for Heidi?
anything that has chocolate in it. Yes. So I really enjoy Dolce Amore is one of my favorite gelato places, but I like chocolate flavors, and I like ice cream with different textures in it.
Like is it Oreo or minty? Oreo is too sweet.
So yeah, no, not Oreo cookie. Mine is about score bar texture, like something crunchy, toffee, with chocolate, or chocolate hazelnut.
Wow.
Those are excellent for me.
And
a little bit of peanut butter.
And what's the take on mint chocolate? Yes or no?
No,
No, not for you.
not for me.
I really like, what is it? I'm forgetting what the actual name of it is, but it's like it's a Korean dish with like spicy rice cakes, which is like it's really spicy. It's got noodles and it's a bit chewy. It's just
tteokbokki.
Yes, exactly.
Tteokbokki,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is I order it when I'm just not having a good day.
This is going to sound really pathetic.
Okay.
But when I go home, my favorite meal is Greek yogurt with blueberries, strawberries, chia seeds, and granola.
That's a good meal.
It's like a sweet, and it's like yummy.
Oh
Yum,
my
yum.
goodness. I mean, I love a good like spaghetti bolognese. That's my favorite. If my husband says he's making that, because my husband's the cook, I'm
Okay.
like, yay, that's perfect for me.
I actually like to bake, of all things, because cooking is a bit of an art where I may or may not have all the ingredients and then I add this and there. Whereas baking for me, if I'm having a bad day, I like to recharge by baking because I follow a recipe and I do not need to think.
Okay, and what do you bake? What's your favorite thing?
Cookies, cakes.
Nice. Is there any secret thing about the recipe that you have that you want to share with others? They can learn from your recipes?
The secret is focusing, because with baking, if you're not following the exact ingredients, measure, and the steps, you will not be successful.
Absolutely.
Oh, my family would laugh at this because I want to eat it every week. It's just eating fish and rice for dinner.
I like that.
I grew up in Prince Rupert, small town in British Columbia, so we ate a lot of fish and rice growing up.
Chinese food. My mom used to make something called sticky rice, so I've learned her recipe. Short grain and long grain rice and chicken and sausage and soya sauce and oyster sauce and ginger and garlic. That's the secret.
That's the secret. And you fry the rice, or is it like a fried rice more?
I'm lazy, so you could do it as a fried rice. I put it in the rice cooker. And I'm sure you could do it in the Instapot too. Yeah.
Yeah, throw everything in.
Yeah, so easy. Yeah.
Best comfort food.
So comfortable. Yeah, so, I mean, it makes you happy eating. It's such good comfort food.